to record. Perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, so I guess I'll go ahead and just get started here.
Please do. Yes.
Again, Jon Cunningham. I'm a senior admissions counselor for Texas State University, and I guess our goal here today is really guiding towards the next steps towards enrollment. So for students who have been admitted and are committing to attending Texas State, or would at least like to go through the process and maybe not are 100% finalized in their decision to attend Texas State, but would like to go through the next steps, these will guide you on the right path. And so we have a whole web page dedicated to helping you figure this out, knowing exactly what you need to do step by step and where you can find that information. So I'll be doing a presentation, just briefly kind of covering the main points for the next steps, and then I'll refer to the website where you can find this resource. That way you know at any point in time you're on the right track. But the, again, main goal for today is really if you know that you're coming to Texas State, this is what you need to do. I think a lot of students want to sign a paper or go on to the website and check a box that says, I'm coming, get ready. And although we do have a mechanism for that, there's several steps involved and many things you have to do. So I'll just go ahead and share my presentation that I'll present right now. Should be full screen here. Yeah, if we have any issues seeing that. So for the next steps, I believe there's about 7 next steps to really signal to Texas State that you are coming. And we always start off with the admittance letter, and we're just gonna, for those of you who are watching this and are admitted to Texas State, congratulations on your acceptance and welcome to the Bobcat family. Our university has a lot of tradition and history, and going back to 1899, and we're proud to have you become a part of that long line of successful students. So you'll find the experiences, resources, and support here that you will need to help make your mark, and today's the start of that process. So hopefully many of you have already gone through this, some of the steps in this process, but this, again, presentation will make sure that you know every step involved, and we're here to guide you. That, again, family, sense of support, we do want that on our campus. So if any time that you need to call the campus or call me, we want you to feel like you are going to be taken care of. And I think students appreciate that, and they do experience that and get a sense of it at orientation, but we want parents to know that as well. You know, it's definitely more than one person involved in this process. So we're here to help and guide you. If you have questions, that's, again, part of my job, but as well as many other offices that, again, are here to guide you. You may have received this. If you've been admitted, you usually get a kind of little poster, and you can take pictures of that with yourself on the social media web pages that we have. Use the hashtags that are included. That way you can meet other incoming freshmen to Texas State University. Great way to meet people online that may be from other parts throughout Texas or throughout the nation. And this is always kind of the fun part, again, going back to the tradition. This is one of the newer ones where we have a lot of students just really kind of shout out their pride and kind of tell everybody else, hey, I'm coming to Texas State. So hashtag be a Bobcat, and remember that. And we'd love to see the photos. But we'll go ahead and start with the fun topic of financial aid and scholarships. So probably the first step for many students, award packages have gone out for seniors this year. So as early as last week, students have begun to receive their financial aid awards as well as scholarships. But students are in different phases of the process. So again, check on these items. I can show you exactly where you can find that. But the first things first, if you've submitted a FAFSA, excellent, we have that on file. That application is probably one of the most important when it comes to financing your education. So the FAFSA obviously should be completed. If it hasn't been, then we need to work towards wrapping that up. The second is scholarships. Our scholarship deadline was December 15th. Now, the scholarships do get awarded in phases, and so we have students receive some offers very early, some with their total package, just at different times. So scholarships, again, hopefully many students have received notification if they've gotten those, but just keep in mind that sometimes we get an award letter and we haven't heard anything about scholarships. Though we try and get them out before the award letters go out, it is possible to receive notification after. And sometimes there's several steps involved in certain scholarships like Terry Scholars, which requires an interview and several documents to be submitted. So the best kind of recommendation I have for students with scholarships is check your emails. We do communicate heavily via email. And we've had students, just not check those and come real close to passing the deadline. So we give you ample time to complete the requirements. So that is true for financial aid as well as scholarships, but very, very important. I want my students to receive as much money as possible. So stay on top of that, be reasonable, maybe once or twice a week at least, check your inbox, make sure that you are receiving emails from us. If you are not receiving anything from Texas State and you've applied, we probably need to look into that to see if we need to correct your email address. We do offer things like the Bobcat Promise, which is a tuition guarantee program. Certain students will find that they're eligible for this and have to submit documents, but we ensure that all students have enough to pay for the total cost of attendance through a combination of financial aid awards. Some of that is Pell Grant, Texas Grant. Those are the most common forms of financial aid that students receive. There are loans, work study, other things that combine to make this total package enough to pay for everything, but there's never a worry about where is the money going to come from. They don't have to worry about out of pocket immediately kind of bringing the money together. This total package will cover the total cost of attendance. So definitely a very helpful program there. Students are starting to receive that notification. But the big one, the next bullet point here is verification. This really does put a hold on the whole process. Verification is very common. It's not to say that students did anything wrong, but the Department of Education, our financial aid office, they have to meet certain requirements. Some students are selected at random for verification. There's sometimes confusion in the way we filled out our FAFSA, and so we just need clarification. So students receive this, they think, oh no, I did something wrong, in which case it's not necessarily the case. We just need to be sure that we have accurate information. So this paperwork you will receive, they tell you step-by-step how to go through the process, but it can still be pretty tricky if you've never done it before. Where I've been through verification, there are certain requirements that are new and I've not seen, so often I'll have to tell students, we might need to talk to the experts at our financial aid office, and I'll go ahead and provide that number. But verification can take several weeks, so it is to your advantage to start working on that paperwork, get it submitted, upload it online, and just get it done. That's, it's not a pretty process, but it's easy once it's all said and done. It just takes a lot of time. Now, when it comes to billing and payments, we often have parents and students wanting to know, well, when do I make the payment? And this is something that comes much, much later, even after orientation. So we will provide that information and help you navigate around how payments work, how financial aid feeds through the account, all of that good stuff. That happens much later. So often parents are kind of concerned, saying, well, my son or daughter wants to come, and do I need to pay anything right now? And in this case, no. This is, again, a university. We do things around August for the fall semester. So those are when the deadlines are coming. Again, students know well before that date and by orientation. The last thing here is work study. I know a lot of students are interested in work study, and if you are eligible for that, there are plenty of jobs around campus. Students would create a profile on our career services website, and they can begin kind of looking around, but this happens a lot during summer. So the main point I'd like to make here is if you are interested in work study, you can start creating a profile and just start thinking about it. Jobs will start coming up little by little, but around summer is when you really want to start looking. But this is also a great way to get experience, work experience while you're in school studying. And again, there's no better place to get a job. Your schedule comes first. Your education and academics are the most important thing. So work study definitely helps you gain experience. You'll get to earn money, but more importantly, you won't be overworked, anything like that. You don't have to worry about kind of mixing up schedules. That stuff is planned well in advance. And again, your employer is the university, and so we have an obligation to make sure you're successful. So signing up for new student orientation, this is something you can actually begin doing. And this really is the big signal to Texas State that you're coming, or at least we assume that you're going to be coming, because at this point you register for classes. So during orientation, you will meet with an academic advisor. You will have classes registered by the time you leave. And even the fun part, there's a lot of team building activities, icebreakers, ways to get to know other people, others that you might be sharing classes with. Some of the upperclassmen or the orientation leaders will tell you what life is like on campus, what to know, what not to do. Those types of things are very important, but this is probably one of the biggest components, getting acclimated to the campus and meeting other Bobcats. And again, the orientation leaders, they are current students, and they connect you to the right people and places on campus. So if you've got questions, they have the answers for you. And if they don't, one of the other orientation leaders will. So they give you their own insight as a student, but also are trained to help you navigate through the whole college process. So orientation is really a crash course on what to expect your freshman year. There is new student orientations for every new Bobcat, so again, sign up now. The main thing here is that we have a lot of sessions that we do offer. At some institutions, there's a big push to go to the earliest orientation date to get the best classes possible. And while that is true to a certain extent, at Texas State, you are guaranteed a schedule, and it is actually made for you before you get there. And I'll mention some key documents that we need before you get to orientation to make sure that you are all set to go. One is meningitis, which is one of the next steps I'll bring up later. The next one is college transcripts. And the last thing is TSI. Those three requirements, some may be requirements, others may not be. But the main point is that we need that information so we can schedule you accordingly. So we don't want you to come to orientation and we've scheduled you for college algebra, but you've taken it for dual credit. That just means that we don't have that transcript, and so we need that on file, whether that's from, let's say, South Texas College or from University of Texas Rio Grande Valley. Wherever you have taken dual credit, we want an official transcript from them, even if it's pending coursework listed. So we do want to see that so we don't register you for those things. And we can't register you for classes if you don't have a meningitis vaccination. So that is also a requirement. But keep that in mind that there's sessions all throughout the summer. It is a 2-day orientation. You come in one day, check in, it's half day, but you actually stay the night in one of our residence halls. That's part of the booking process or the orientation registration process. You don't have to worry about where to stay. Once you register, you'll have your date. They'll tell you what time, directions to get to campus. And when you come in, you get your assignment. You'll know what to bring with you, all of that good stuff. So students do stay overnight. The second part of the day, they actually get presentations, again, meet with an advisor, get their schedule, and just kind of wrap up the orientation overall. Parents are encouraged to go. It is not a requirement, but they are encouraged. They do not have to stay overnight on our campus. They can. There is a actual registration process separate for that with a fee. But they can stay again off campus, stay at a hotel, go have a mini vacation, whatever they choose. But just know that orientation for parents is recommended. It is not a requirement. Choose a new home. This one is actually a really big one right now. And beginning in October, contracts could have been started. If you are familiar with Texas State, we do require students to live on campus. Now, I know the second bullet there says most freshmen are required to live on campus. We are probably talking about 99% of freshmen. So definitely living on campus is a big element and a big process for our students. We have 25 residence halls to choose from. There's so many different options. Some are affordable, some are more expensive. So you can see the various options at the link on that third bullet there, reslife.txstate.edu. They have a neat little chart that you can actually compare, kind of apples to apples, whether the bathroom is, connecting two rooms. Is it a community bathroom? Do you have your own bathroom? Is there more square footage, less square footage? A quick reference chart to help you kind of navigate, figure out what your preferences are. And I tell students, pick about 3 options. Because we do have students that know their first choice is Texas State, they sign that contract on October 1st and they pick and choose on a first come and first served basis. So we do have students that fill up the super suites, for instance, some of the more popular options on our campus. They fill up very, very quick, but the traditional, maybe not so much. There are certain traditional or the newer traditional housing options that get filled up because of their location, maybe proximity to campus or to the rec center. So you will definitely see that when you go through the process. And so having about 3 options will make sure that if your first or second isn't available, you at least have a final backup. At a certain point, we do start assigning. So it's important not to wait too long. Now is a great time to jump in and start the housing application process if you have not done so. Definitely jump on that too. Quick note here on the fee waiver. We do have an application fee of $75, but if you had that waived and you didn't pay the $75 and are admitted, then you actually don't have to put down the $300 housing deposit. So some students think that they have to pay that immediately, although it is deferred and it does have to be paid eventually. Up front, it would not be if you had an approved fee waiver. So again, if you did pay the $75 fee but you're admitted, that means that you can actually sign up for housing without having to pay a $300 deposit. So keep that in mind. If you did pay the $75, the $300 deposit does need to be paid at the time you sign the contract. And again, it is a refundable deposit. So if you stay, again, another year, that can be rolled into the next year, but you do get that back. Last thing I will mention here is when you do sign the contract, the only thing that you do is pick a meal plan and sign the contract. Students often have questions about the meal plan. There's 3 options, and you can really just think of it as small, medium, large. Start high, and then you can always tier it down after a semester. If you over purchased and you have a lot of meals left over after one semester, you can downgrade that plan immediately, but the leftovers will roll into the next semester as well. So err to the side of safety and again, making sure you have enough food, and go ahead and maybe pick the larger one. I tell gentlemen, pick the largest meal plan maybe. You'll see that the price difference is not a tremendous difference. So keep that in mind, that for the value and some of the meal plans that you get, definitely start high and work down from there. Step 4, get vaccinated. So the meningitis vaccination is a requirement for all public schools in Texas. So Texas law does not allow students to register for classes until proof of receiving a bacterial meningitis vaccination has been received. We don't accept the documents in admissions. This is one thing that is common in other schools. However, we don't do that. We have to receive documentation for a third-party vendor, which is Magnus Health Technology. So we contract with them. They verify your medical records, and there is a slight fee. I want to say it's $10 to $15 for that fee, in which case just know that that can be taken care of at any point in time. If you've taken that meningitis vaccination, it's good for 5 years. But if you took it 5 years ago, you may need to redo that. So keep that in mind, that it depends on the date that you enroll. So if your vaccination expires 2 weeks before the first day of class, you'll need to, again, get a new vaccination. But again, it is good for 5 years, so check that closely. Submit that documentation to us no later than 2 weeks before orientation. Step 5, send your final transcripts. Now, we admit students on the assumption that they are graduating high school, so sometimes we get confused, why do I have to send this again? And that's because it has the graduation date. So after you graduate high school, just make sure to send us an official transcript. There is a lot of time, and we have a big grace period for students to do that. Often counselors will send them directly. If they know you're attending Texas State, they'll send an official to us anyway. But definitely follow up. Make sure that that is sent directly. We do need that. And we will contact you as a current student your freshman year if we don't see that on file. If you've also completed any community college courses, you need to send us transcripts from all the institutions, whether it's just one or more than one. We want an official one electronically sent or by mail. And the address is right there. It's Office of Undergraduate Admissions at 429 North Guadalupe Street, San Marcos, Texas, 78666. So if you need that address, again, I can provide that to you. I'll put my contact info up. But all of those transcripts must be received for us to give you credit. Like I said, with the community college transcripts or dual credit, dual enrollment, concurrent enrollment, all of that, we want 2 weeks before orientation. That way we have enough time to process those courses in our system. Step 6, TSI. TSI is a requirement for some, but not for all. You can be exempt through your SAT, ACT, TAKS, or STAR scores if they are high enough. And basically the TSI determines whether we need to put you in developmental courses, remedial coursework, before you can start courses like college algebra or English 1301. Again, if you've taken that with dual credit, we may not know unless we have that transcript on file. So another reason why you would want to send that out to us. It can affect TSI. But again, you may be exempt through any of those tests. The important thing to know is that often we will email you and tell you, hey, student, we know that you need to take TSI math section. If you can send those scores to us. If you've taken that test, you can send it to the office directly via email. Simply email tsip@txstate.edu. If you aren't sure if you need to take the TSI test, you can call the number and they can look into your record and verify. But the important thing here is that if you are getting emails from us, to our knowledge, we are seeing that you need to take it. But that could mean we are missing documentation. We could be missing a STAR score or your highest SAT. So it really does depend on a variety of factors, and it's hard to navigate. The best advice is, again, make sure we have all documents on file first, and then you definitely give us a call at that number, and we'll look into your file. But if you have those scores, send them right on up to tsip@txstate.edu. Really simple requirement, just make sure to get it done. You definitely probably would want to test out of remedial courses. It will save you time and money. But again, you can take the TSI as many times until you are exempt. You can check with your local high school, or the local colleges do offer them as well for a small fee. Step 7, review your evaluated transcripts. So if you have sent us over any community college hours or concurrent enrollment hours, we actually allow you to look at that to see exactly what courses transferred in. While not all courses do transfer in, if you're taking basics, the majority, if not all, will. So just keep that in mind. You want to look into that and see that for yourself. If you have questions, you can work with your advisor on that. If you see that the title sounds the same, my degree requires, art appreciation, but I took art appreciation at this community college. Why didn't it transfer? Again, it is likely that it did transfer, but you may want to consult with your advisor on that one. So keep that in mind. A lot of students have questions. Will my credits transfer? And the short answer is yes, absolutely. The majority will. But you'll be able to see that firsthand through our equivalency system. You can verify that before even sending us a transcript. But once we have the transcript, we will have that in your portal. So with that, that concludes the presentation portion. I will refer to the website here. But this is my contact information once again. For all of you that have been admitted and are excited to come to TxSt State, again, congratulations. We are happy to have you. And if you're, again, still on the fence, you're still kind of weighing out offers, that is perfectly normal. It is not uncommon for students to go all through the next steps, go to orientation, register for classes, and do the same thing at another institution. That is shopping around, and you are more than welcome to do that. But keep that in mind that if you do that, you can always, again, change your mind. Maybe you decide to stay with TxSt State, but just know that you can withdraw classes, you can rescind the housing contract. Not everything is set in stone. Again, we would love to have you, but we want you to experience it. And if that means you have to come to orientation and really see it firsthand, by all means, we're here to help you and let you do that. And if you have questions, again, you know where to reach me. I am here in the Rio Grande Valley, but you may be on campus at times. So again, depending on where you are, somebody may be on campus will be able to help you better. So keep that in mind. What I'll go ahead and do now is refer to the website and kind of provide a little guidance here on how to navigate. All right, so now we have the Texas State website, and really just want to address the next steps and where to find this. We do email this to our admitted students, but if you're ever on our website, take advantage of the search function tool. You search next steps. It's as simple as that. The first thing that comes up is your next steps, undergraduate admissions. And the reason I like the electronic version here is it links you to everything that you need. So you can see the next steps I just went over. But more importantly, if you have questions about vaccinations, it'll tell you step by step the whole process. Frequently asked questions, the health center, submitting the proof or getting an exemption, all of that is here. So we understand that you may have questions, but the website is always maintained. It's up to date, has the newest and most fresh content. So again, click here. You can see the sign up now buttons. For orientation, you'll see that freshmen are right here, freshmen for the fall semester. Okay, if you're a transfer student by chance, and again, these are students who have already graduated high school. So if you have not graduated high school, you're not considered a transfer student. You are still considered an entering freshman, regardless of the amount of college credit hours that you have. So you click on the fall semester, that's going to be your enrollment, and then it'll take you to our portal where you can go ahead and just sign up. And there are different options. Cat Camp, it's more of a Pride and Traditions extension to orientation. There's like extra fees, but keep that in mind that this is all broken down, helps you find everything easily. So with that said, again, refer to the next steps webpage for anything that you need. If there's anything you're looking for, even if it's just about a degree that you're pursuing, search it. You know, if you're interested in athletic training, likely it'll take you to the department. You can find a degree plan. You can see all of the fast facts about it. So really utilize the website. This is where our students will definitely, sometimes you will get a page not found, go back and try again. So keep that in mind that our students will come here often to find their degree plan or who their advisor is, schedule appointments, things like that. So really utilize the website. But once you get to campus, you will have resources in person that you can utilize. So with that said, that's just kind of a brief rundown of the next steps. The last thing I will refer to here is if you're on the main website, you'll always see a header up here. If you're taking an online course, Tracks is where you take online courses. But a lot of students will find themselves in CATS Web. If you go to CATS Web and you click on Students, what you're going to find is your self-service portal. This is where you register for classes. This is where you sign your housing contract. You do so many different things in here. If you've ever taken community college courses, you are likely to have experienced what this portal looks like and where to register courses. It looks very similar to many other institutions. So keep that in mind. This is where the portal can be found. You can see a whole host of other links that are extremely helpful, from maps to parking to dining on campus, billing information. Everything is really consolidated on this one page. Once you decide you're coming to Texas State, this is going to be a great kind of magnet page to link you to everything that you need to find. But again, your self-service portal will be right here. If you've not activated your net ID, that is essentially your username, feel free to call our IT services. They're extremely helpful. They'll just verify your identity, and if they need to reset your password, they'll definitely do that. But make sure that you save this information. Your net ID and password are extremely important. So that's pretty much a quick wrap up. I can take questions now if anybody has those. And Chris, if there's anything maybe I needed to clarify on or I can kind of address, let me know.
Thank you, John. No, you did. Everything's been going great. I just, of course, was muted. Still having my problem on my computer. Thought I'd joined by now, but it's been going through the repair process for 30 minutes. I can't think of anything. We do have a chat feature going on. Alonso, you have access to both video and audio, so you can unmute yourself if you have any questions.
I'm good, thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
I do have a question. Are you going to make this presentation available via email?
Yes. That, unfortunately, I had issues with my computer, but John is taping it or recording it. And so once I get that link, I'll convert it to YouTube and I'll share this out. And so they can, you can share this with students, other staff members to show in class and so forth.
Okay. What about the PowerPoint presentation, John?
It's built in with the recording, so it'll just follow along.
Okay. Thank you.
Excellent.
And I could definitely provide that presentation as well. I can email it to you, Chris, and if you want to forward that along, I have no problem with sending that as well.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Let me see if I can see the chat.
So I don't see any questions in the chat right now.
Okay, good. It's so different on the iPad than my functionality now.
No questions. Again, it's hard to ask questions or know what to expect down the road. So I just tell students that you don't know the questions yet, but you will have them. I guarantee it. So just keep my contact information handy. So definitely, I'll go back to the that one slide. Definitely use my business cards. Keep those around. Usually, I keep a little stack at the high schools, and if I need to go and replenish that supply, I can definitely do that. But I'm never far away. Please feel free to reach out. There are certain things that I can do. There is a lot I cannot do. I will be honest with financial aid. I know a little bit about it, but it changes from year to year. I would just defer to the experts in that case. I'm a current student and I call them up because sometimes I think I know what I'm talking about and it turns out I was wrong. So now I've just given up on that process and say, look, they know how to help you best. As much as I would like to, at least I can point you in the right direction. And so that's definitely my goal here, is that if you don't have questions now, you will later. Just know where to start. And I'm here to help you with that.
John, let me ask you this. On that Bobcat promise, do the students have to apply for that, or is that automatically awarded to them?
Excellent question. So the Bobcat promise is automatically applied to with the FAFSA application. If parents have, I believe, an adjusted gross income of $35,000 or less, it's automatic. What you will see too often, and I mentioned that the Bobcat promise, it's a combination of Pell, Texas grant, work study. There may be some of the smaller state grants that get awarded in there as well. But our goal is to make sure that you meet the $23,000, which is about the right price of the package. Our cost of attendance is about $21,000, so there's a little bit more than that that's included in the package. Some of that subsidized and unsubsidized loans, yes. Not the majority of it, but some of that is included to meet that total amount. And students will often get a very similar package, but it's not the Bobcat promise. So it may be identical, but it's not the Bobcat promise. And here's the difference. The Bobcat promise for the next 4 years, if let's say, now this is not likely, Texas grant just goes away. State of Texas just runs out of money for that program. It's not, again, something we see happening, but what happens with the Bobcat promise is we will replace that missing amount with something from Texas State, and that would be a scholarship. We will always guarantee that that $23,000 is in their account, regardless of what government or grant, whatever program fades out or is gone. So keep that in mind, that that's the benefit there, that they'll always ensure that it's guaranteed to them every year.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, sir. They are required to hold a work-study position. That would be the only other difference. They are required to get a job on campus. So they'll see that in the Bobcat Promise Agreement. Again, 15 hours, that's paid to them month to month when they work. So not a bad thing, definitely a good thing for them though.
Not at all. Awesome.
Right. Well, I guess if there's no other questions, I'll probably stop the recording here. Maybe last.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Great plan. Yes, thank you. Very concise. You hit all the main topics that needed to. You know, I always appreciate when you go through the website and show them exactly how to navigate, because that's how our kids are these days. You know, they just Google it, they YouTube it, and you know, I love the story that a kid from Dallas found you by doing YouTube search and found us, you know, from a previous session, and then he watched it all the way through, got your contact information, and reached out. So that's exciting.
That kind of threw me off guard. I was like, oh no, where did you find me on? Are they recording presentations at the high school now? But then, you know, I remembered it was the cyber mentoring. I was like, wow, that's, yeah, that's pretty cool.
It is. Well, Alonso, thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Chris.
We'll be back at 2.
Real quick question. What's